Hey everybody, I'm Greg Sowell, and this is Why Am I, a podcast where I get to talk to interesting people and try and trace a path to where they find themselves today. My guest this go around is George Collins. He's a stand-up that went from introvert to, well, he's still an introvert, he just happens to get up on stage and do comedy as well. He's rounding himself out also by doing 2 podcasts and is currently writing a post-apocalyptic novel. By the way, there is also a published 10-page love poem, I think from when he was like 17, floating around out there. So needless to say, the guy knows what true pain is. If you guys like this podcast or any of the other ones, please share with at least one other person. That really helps me grow. And at any rate, I hope you enjoy this chat with George. George Collins, thank you for joining me on the Why Am I podcast.
Thanks for having me. Thank you.
Absolutely. All right, man. So we're always standing in line. I stand in a lot of lines. I queue up a lot. I'm picturing us in Austin. We're on 6th Street. There's this place called Voodoo Donuts, and there's always a line out the door. And it usually takes about 30 minutes to get up to the front to get our donuts, right? So we're talking. I strap a conversation. You look like an interesting dude. I love the shirt you're wearing. You got good style. So we talk about me for a little bit because obviously I care about me most in the world. We exhaust that pretty quick. Now it's your turn, man. So who are you, George?
Hey, I'm George Collins. I'm a stand-up comedian and podcaster, and soon to be an author, but that's coming soon. But mostly podcaster and stand-up comedian. Out of right now, I'm actually out of Texas.
Are you really?
Yeah. Most of my work was out of Alabama and Las Vegas, but I'm currently in Texas.
What are you doing in Texas?
Girlfriend, actually.
Well, that'll do it, man.
You know, take the chance to try to make a family, and she just happens to do stand-up as well. So, it all works, right? It's supposed to work. So trying it out, you know how life is.
Yeah, man. What part of Texas are you in right now?
Right in the middle of nowhere. It's like Lufkin. It's like Houston, Austin. It's like it's all in the middle. It's like the Bermuda Triangle.
Oh yeah, I know. I was born in Nacogdoches. So
right there. Okay,
not too far, man. Yeah, I got kin over in East Texas, man. I call them. They're not my family. They're my kin because they are country as hell. So,
man,
you know what I'm saying? You're in Lufkin. You know what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah, we go over there like every couple of days. Constantly over there because there's nothing in Lufkin. So
yeah, you got a Walmart. Come on, what are you talking about?
Yeah, of course. And a Sam's Club, yeah.
Pinky's up when you say that, man. Come on,
5-star pizza, man.
All right, man. Well, you started with stand up. So how did you get into stand? What makes you get the courage to stand in front of people and tell jokes, man?
Honestly, that's the biggest mystery because outside of like my podcast I'm actually an introvert. Like I just kind of stay to myself, and that's how I've been all my life. It's just been go to school, go home, play games, maybe talk to a few friends online. But other than that, it just becoming a stand-up comedian just kind of came out of nowhere. I think it was because I took an acting class in college. Like, one of those extra classes for no reason. And I think if he didn't put his hand on my shoulder and say, hey, I can see you as a good sitcom side character, I don't think that would have put the seeds down for anything else. I was like, a few friends told me I was funny, so I gave it a try, and I'm pretty decent at it. So
that's crazy, man. So introvert, does that mean like you were talking about, just mostly playing games and stuff like that? As a kid, were you pretty quiet? Did you have like one friend at a time sort of thing?
Yeah, basically just a good handful of people. I didn't really enjoy creating that new conversation with people. So it's just whoever comes into my life and in that circle themselves, that's the people I interact with. So I'm not going to go out and do it myself. So because I was bullied, because I was like the fat kid and stuff like that. So kids are ruthless. So I was I just stayed to myself and kept it like that.
Do you feel like being on stage gives you the opportunity to, I don't know, just like connect and talk with people that you normally wouldn't? Like, I mean, I'm assuming the first time you probably did it, it was probably terrifying, but then after that, you know, you had some conversations or something. Tell me about it.
Oh, it's like a drug. It's like a drug. It's once you, it is scary. That is the trick of it. It's like a lot of people get in here and expect like instant success or because they're funny. It's like the ball's rolling, but no. Sometimes bombing, which is like doing bad on stage.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a part of the process. And if you can bomb and it's still in you, like I think that's what gets you started. Keep it going. It's like you can fail and still love it. And that was I think one of the first things that I kind of failed at and still wanted to keep doing. So my first stand-up set was actually on the last day of my job. Like during, oh my God, are they yelling outside? Not today. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, man, you're in Lufkin. I know all about it.
Yeah. So my first time doing stand-up was on my last day at this warehouse job. I was gonna leave. So I was like, I'm finna just do some stand-up in a lunchroom in front of these people who didn't ask for it. So I just did it. It didn't go that well. But I was like, hey, I did it. So I got it out the way. Just went from there.
Gotcha. But you know, I've always heard like if you want to be good at something, you have to be ready to be bad at it first.
Yes.
And that's cool that you somehow decided to rip the Band-Aid off. And what was it? The fact that you were leaving, you're like, I'm never gonna see these people again. I don't give a damn. Is that what helped?
My friend, one of my friends is still friends to this day. Chris Tomlin, he was working there as well, and I kind of like told him what I was about to do, and he was like, "Oh, I've been doing stand up for like 2 years now." I'm like, "What?" And I just kind of like it just gave me confidence. Just go ahead and just do it. It's like might as well embarrass myself now, right?
Because if Chris can do it, you could do it. Is that what you're saying?
A little bit, but
yeah.
But plus, I was not only leaving that job, but I was working in St. Louis at the time. I was going to move to Alabama, so I'm like, not only can I do bad, I'm not going to see this whole state ever again. I'm like, I'm good, I'm gone.
So did you? Well, I mean, all right. Let me reel it back a little bit. You're talking about bombing on stage. And I've heard from comics before that like it doesn't matter how good you get, how successful you are, when you're on the road, every now and then you're still gonna bomb. And that's, I mean, how do you reconcile that? Do you kind of, I'm assuming you are your worst critic, because I've heard comics say before that like I did a show and it was terrible, and then all these people came up to me afterwards and said it was great, I loved it. Like is that still like in you? Do you still kind of beat yourself up all the time?
Oh yeah, all the time. What I tell a lot of new comedians, once the one way to get rid of like stage fright is expect like once you got up there, everybody already think you're gonna do bad. Everybody already judged you. What's the worst that can happen? Kind of like logic, you know. So yeah, I'm constantly. I'm not very good at improv. I admit. So it's like I write everything down, and a lot of my friends notice that I'm pacing in circles before my set, like an hour before, like make sure all my bits are there, because my brain is just like everywhere, right? So I have to make sure I practice it right before I get on. And if it don't go well, even if I made everybody laugh, but if I missed one of the story beats, I'm in my head all night. I'm like, oh, I missed. Yeah, I could have made these people laugh even harder if I said this and that. I was like, so yeah. But what's one thing that's really motivating is watching these legends like Chris Rock or like whoever. Once you actually are in the industry and you actually are a fan of comedy and you actually see these people bomb and see that's just a part of the process. These people, they're not invincible. They're not immortal. They can die up there too. Like once you see that motivates you as well.
Yeah, I think that is an amazing lesson for life, because so many people are terrified to try anything new, right? Because fear of failure, right? But people fail to realize if you screw something up, nobody's going to come to your house and kick your dog, or I mean, you know, it's like you're going to be fine. Like you will maybe be embarrassed.
I don't know. Nowadays, kind of. You do a bad joke, they come up there and punch you in the neck. And like, I don't.
But then that just makes a great story for another joke.
Yeah, exactly. That and a lawsuit, you get paid, all types of stuff. So
Get
I
the
guess you have
workers'
to look at
comp.
look at the positive, I guess.
But no, man, I think that's crazy because I remember reading like this survey they did of things people were afraid of. You had like snakes and spiders, but like at the top of the list, like above like dying was public speaking.
Yeah.
Like more people are afraid of public speaking. So the idea of not only public speaking, but maybe having all these people judge you negatively at the same time, and you can yet walk away from it. Like to me, that's like a superpower.
Oh yeah. I understand completely where it's coming from because even after I've been doing it for almost 9 years now, I still get a little bit of stage fright, but it's not the end of days. Once you realize it's not going to kill you, like you can get up, you'll be fine. Like if anything, it makes you stronger. Like my confidence is through the roof sometimes. It's simultaneously really low but really high. It's weird. It's like because of stand-up comedy. It's like
That's an interesting dichotomy. Yeah, man. Like the idea that you can stand up on stage and do all that stuff, but you're afraid to ask for gravy on your fried rice. It's like, come on, man. Come on.
It's so messed up, man. I know. I'm like, what is wrong with me?
No, I get it, man. Like it doesn't matter how much I progressed. Like those little voices are still in my head, telling me weird stuff.
Speaking of the gravy, like I don't like getting into arguments in like fast food restaurants because I'm the fat guy. I was like, I don't want to be that. I was like, oh, not.
Do you have the opportunity to get in arguments in restaurants? Does that present itself a lot to you?
Well, you see the videos and stuff like that. People like jumping in line and stuff like that. And like, if somebody jump in line in front of me, I'm like, I'm just gonna let it happen. I'm just gonna like, I don't want to be not only arguing in the middle of a fast food restaurant, but be the big guy too. It was like, you angry over food? Like, come on, like, like, I'm like, all right, just let it go.
Well, it's like, you say you're a big guy. I'm tall, so I'm like 6'3", and so I've learned it's like when you're a bigger person, you like have to. Society judges you different. You have to be in control. You can't fly off the handle and get angry because it terrifies people. It's like a little bit of a double standard there.
Yeah, but you got the good big, the vertical big.
I don't know, man. Both can be advantageous. I got the horizontal. I don't know that I've ever heard it described that way, but I can't wait to use it again. Horizontal big.
Trust me, I would definitely trade it. I know it got you got your stuff, but
for sure, man, for sure. Oh man, you're killing me. So you've been doing this stuff 9 years. 9 years. You feel like you could do it the rest of your life?
Yes. If you don't count the last 2 years because of, the old cove.
Yeah.
So I've kind of been on break, and I've been kind of like substituting the podcast, which is just me talking to myself for a while, just kind of like being an alternative for it. So yeah, I can see myself doing it again. I'm moving to, I think, Houston in the end of the year. So bigger scene. Hopefully I can get right back into it. Hopefully I still love it. The industry itself is kind of like a pain in the butt because it's a lot of non-comedians that run stand-up comedy. So if they don't ruin it for me, then yes, I can see myself doing it for the rest of my life.
Gotcha. So rest of your life, because you said it was like a drug, man. So it's chasing that high every time. Is that what really does it for you?
Yes. If I can do it and make enough to pay rent, like I can like replace my job. I'm not looking for fame. I'm not looking for, I'm not gonna say I'm not looking for riches. If it happens, I'm not gonna say no to it, but I'm not gonna stress myself out if I'm making like 10K a month. Yeah, I'm not gonna stress myself out to make more. It's like that's enough. That's enough to be telling jokes on stage. That's enough, right?
Yeah. I love the fact that it feeds you inside, like it feeds something inside of you more than anything else, which really kind of motivates you there. Do you think it feeds you because like you were that shy kid or maybe socially anxious and this is your way to scream to the world and let them hear who you are?
I think so. I don't think about it a lot, but I believe so. I think it's just no one listened to me then. So now I have a way for them to do it and see that all the stuff that's been going on, I kind of make jokes about the stuff that's been going on back in the day. So yeah, so I that kind of fills that void a little bit. I can say that.
Yeah, so I've listened to some of your podcasts, but I've never seen any of your comedy. So, like, is it more about you, or are you just coming up with jokes or stories,
Um,
or what's it like?
it's stories. It's kind of like day by day. So I kind of do have to live a life somewhat to like create these stories and kind of like be exaggerated to a point. Like what's a quick one I could think of that's not I can just explain it anyway. It'd be like back when I used to work at Walmart, that was like my first 5 years, that was like my all these characters I would meet, that was where most of my jokes would come from. I would meet like the old guy who was staying outside, who was like a vet, but he was always like loitering for booty. Like he always like just harassing women constantly. And then I had a joke about uh certain music artists being then it go to deeper stuff like some music artists doing criminal stuff with children, and I'll like make jokes about that. Like, hey, try to like not kind of be like activists, like, hey, let y'all know this is happening, but make jokes about it to like not just be like, I don't know. I don't know if that makes sense. That
Yeah, it
doesn't make
totally
sense.
makes sense. Yeah, and for me, like as far as comedy goes, nothing's off the table.
Yeah.
Like I think you should be able to joke because it's like that's almost like my defense mechanism. And what's crazy is when I get into like uncomfortable situations, I make jokes. I laugh. I don't know. It's kind of like I think kind of like a pressure relief valve for me or something. So
My rule of thumb is you can say anything as long as it's funny. If it's not funny, then it's offensive. Like
yeah, for sure.
after yeah, you're on your own if it's not funny.
Man, that hit home when you were talking about Walmart. I used to work at Walmart when I was in college, and man, we met some characters.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
and it wasn't even just the customers; it was like the people that worked there. Man, there was all kinds of crazy drama inside that place.
We both were in the trenches, we were like in Vietnam.
Dude, we had like this one stalker. He was hooked up with a stalker on the grocery side, but this lady had been married to another guy who was stalking the grocery side, and he like stole her away. And so it was wild. There was always something crazy going
It's
on.
always people messing around. Like, that's number one rule. We always say don't mess with your coworkers. Don't. I don't know if I can curse.
Yeah, go for it.
Hey, don't shit where you eat or something, or vice
Yeah, yeah,
versa,
yeah.
right? So, yeah, but we do it anyway. It's like we see these people every day. Um, I don't know, these Instagram models don't. They think they nice looking, but they ain't got the attention as the only woman in like an only male position, like at work. Like no, you ain't got it. You ain't got it better than them at all.
That's right, man. It's in a target rich environment.
Oh
That's
yeah.
what you call that. Oh man. So podcast, how did you come over to podcasting? Because I listened to it and it mostly seems like a stream of consciousness, which I love. I love podcasts where it's just people tell me what's inside their head and why they're thinking that stuff. Like just ultimately kind of what I do here is just figure out why.
Well, that this actually goes back further than the stand up actually,
Hmm.
because a friend of mine just reminded me from high school. I don't know why I was doing this. I think this is kind of like stemming back to whole people don't listen to me, so I kind of like did it myself. And apparently, I want to say 2007 or something like that. I just learned about burning CDs, so I was recording on like this old computer, and this is like a little bit in like early stages of Apple Podcast.
Hmm.
So I was like burning them on CDs, and I like a narcissist. I was listening to them at school. I don't know why I was doing this. And two of my friends could hear over my headphones, like, what do you listen to? I'm like, I'm listening to myself. And they didn't run away for some reason. And I gave it to them. They listened to it. They thought it was funny. And so I guess technically I've been doing it for like 15 years now. It was like off and on just doing these podcasts where I'm just like talking to myself and just talking about news or what's going on in my life and or whatever's going on in my head, give them like a perspective on things. And
So you were
that,
destined for this.
yeah. And the Who's podcast was supposed to be, uh, I'll try to give a new perspective on something that's going on in the news, whether it be like shootings or something like that. That's how I started. Even if I don't believe what I'm saying, I was like, okay, let's open up a conversation. Usually, like if you go on Twitter, people kind of like kind of float on one opinion and kind of stick to it, and that's the perspective. So I'll purposely try to like, have y'all thought about this? Maybe this is why they did this, or this is why they did that, and try to open up a conversation. But then after like 150 episodes, the news get really depressing. So
extremely,
like,
yeah.
Yeah. So it's like I'm just gonna talk about stand up and what's going on in life and just kind of joke around. Just have fun with it. Like, who cares?
Yeah. I thought I was listening to I think the one right after New Year's, and I didn't realize you were a fellow mommy until listening to that.
Yes. I love her, man.
Yeah, yeah.
Christina P.
Christina P. and Tom Segura, man. I love Your Mom's House. This stuff's fun. But I really dug how you were kind of taking in some of the stuff they said, because it's so funny. I've heard this saying a long time ago. They say serious words said in jest. So sometimes people are making jokes, but the subject matter is actually pretty serious. And if you take it in and consume it, you can actually, get meaning out of it. And I do that occasionally, listening to them. I mean, not always. I mean, they go to some crazy places.
Oh yeah.
But I love it when I see other people doing that as well, man. That's pretty cool.
They can be harsh, like them, and then listening to like Bill Burr, like his podcast, and like especially they go in about like people being overweight. It can be harsh sometimes. It can even hurt me a little bit. I'm like, all right, leave it alone. But if you look past it, it's like they got some points. I can work on myself this way, and that's you listen to the episode. I was like, this year I am going to try to do that and try to stop complaining so much and try to at least make the steps to bettering myself, whether it be me personally or the show. That's why I'm kind of like on break right now, just so I can like actually figure out what's wrong with it and build from that.
You feel like something's wrong with it?
I'm just doing too much at the time, and I think sometimes rambling don't have like, it's not coherent. Sometimes I am just kind of like, wow, I was just talking for 40 minutes for no reason. It's like, it's like what is this? And then I have to listen to this and edit it. So I'm like, all right, let's take a break. Let's figure out life. Then maybe come back after I want to focus on my book and before I go back to doing stand up, because I'm not gonna do the book if I'm doing stand up. Stand up is the thing.
Right. It's all consuming, huh?
Yeah. So I've been doing it for years for all like 6-7 things at the same time, and it's obviously not working. So let's try to condense it. Work on 1 or 2 things. See if that works.
Yeah. I don't get mad at podcasts sometimes when they're just talking and rambling, because it feels like, especially when it's one person, because I feel like my friend's just telling me a story, just talking to me about something.
Yeah.
So I like that. I'm not saying it's for everybody. I'm just saying like I like that sometimes.
You don't convince me to go back to keep doing it, man.
No, it's just it's funny. It's funny how that stuff works. And like these podcasts, I don't edit them, period, unless there's like a audio glitch or something like that. Because I've learned it's like you never know what's gonna connect with somebody. Like you listen to that Christina P. or the Mom's House episode or whatever, like something there clicked with you and sparked something. I'm always afraid, like if I edit it, I'll cut some of that stuff out, something that like means something to somebody else.
True.
But
True.
everybody's product is different, and everybody likes different flavors, man. So I definitely never say anybody's doing anything wrong. I don't want to yuck on anybody's yum, but man, I sometimes I just like, it's funny because a lot of my podcasts I listen to are just streams of consciousness, people telling me a story or whatever. Because I know like, I'm sure it was like this for you too. Like COVID was weird. It was a weird time, and I felt super isolated and like just trapped. Like a couple of times I just felt like screaming. Like, I don't know. It was weird, man. And one of the things that really helped me, because I wasn't getting like real human contact, was listening to those podcasts, where people it was my friend talking to my ear, even though that weird parasocial relationship, I'll never meet him, or whatever. But
I'm not gonna lie, I kind of missed it. I got COVID like on the early parts of it.
Yeah.
And I got like a month off of work. Oh, if I knew that was going to happen, oh man, I would have used that time a little bit more efficiently. Like, that's the only thing I miss about it. But other than that, yeah.
Yeah.
It was depressing though.
Yeah. Silver linings. I like it, man. I always
Yeah.
look for them.
Got paid for the month. That was the one thing I was nervous about. That's what kind of took up half that month. Was worried about whether my job was going to actually pay me or I was going to be out of a house because I got the sniffles. I'm like, but if I knew ahead of time, if I go back, I'm like, relax, George, just do whatever.
Hmm. Most
Take this.
most stuff in life works out all right, huh?
Yeah.
What was that sound? You don't
Huh?
sound convinced.
No, say it again. I'm sorry.
I said you didn't sound convinced.
Oh no, what was the question before that?
Oh, most stuff in life works out, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah. I guess the inflation was true. Like, yeah. I guess it do.
All right. Well, tell me about your book that
Oh,
you're focusing on.
right now it's called Wyatt. It's in the works right now. I'm trying to make it episodic. So it was supposed to be out already. It was like I have like 6 episodes already, but I haven't pulled the trigger yet because I want to like before I let it go, I wanted to figure out exactly what was my end goal before I just release something and never finish it, you know? So right now it is a apocalyptic mailman. So he's just doing his job and it's like the episodes follow what situations he get into. So kind of like something like TV, trying to mix some type of like storylines from like mangas that I read and stuff like that, and just like try to write the best I can. Uh, I'm not an English major. You see how I'm talking, so like I'm trying to make the story coherent, but like interesting the way that I tell jokes on stage.
Hmm.
Because I'm not I don't I'm trying to make it make sense for like the normal people, you know, who read.
Yeah, I read the kind of the description on your post up on Amazon and stuff like that. I thought it sounded really interesting. The writing was really well done. It kind of drew me in. So it makes me wonder. It's like, I mean, why decide to write a book? Where did that come from?
That was the early stages. Everything early stages, Jesus. Uh, but okay, I guess I got to go back to college. Uh, I wanted to be a game designer, and just slowly as when I went to college, I realized I'm not that great in math.
Hmm.
So, you know, I couldn't really get into that. So the next best thing is creating stories for it. So I wrote a book back when I was 17. It's called Limbo of the Fathers. You can probably find it. I don't
Oh,
recommend getting
oh,
it.
I found it.
Oh Lord, I look. I haven't even read it. I haven't read it since then. And this isn't a confidence thing. I just know it's not that. I know the story concept is good, but the writing of it is terrible. So um, I wrote that and finished it. It was one of those projects you just have to do so you can say you did it, right? And that became that turned into me taking the acting classes and going to stand up and turning those stories into jokes. And I always wanted to go back to writing like story, but I just never. I always had an idea, but never could really execute what I was imagining. You know, so
Yeah,
until now,
I
anyway.
like the episodic idea of it because that way you don't have to do it all and what it's like where they say, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time, right? Just
Yes,
a little piece
and
here and there.
and once I found out that you can do that, I was like, oh, that's perfect because I am extremely impatient. So it's like I can't write. I'm not gonna write a 200, 300 page book and read it myself or pay somebody probably $1,500. At least back then. For okay, the Limbo Fathers that was only 120 pages, I believe, and the website I was using at the time, they said they could edit it for $800. I was like, no, I'm like I'll just do it myself. So still thinking of that price, right? It could be way lower now. Who knows? But I'm like, I'm not gonna write 300 pages and then either pay them or read it myself. Oh no, I'm not gonna do that. So episodic, 5 to 20 pages. It's easy. Get all the details, all the stuff, easy. Throw it out and do it again next month. Like that's perfect. That sounds perfect for how my brain works.
Mm, mine too. So I'm going to ask you, if I said you had to go back and read limbo of our fathers. What's the feeling that gives you right now, knowing like, oh, I might have to do that? What would that feeling be?
Uh, it would take me a while. I was like, just dread. Like if I had to, like if I couldn't leave this room until I finished it, I would like, oh Lord, dang. I'll finish it and be like, oh, okay, find some. I'll try to find some type of positive out of it, but I
What's
would
the,
hate, I would hate it.
why would you hate it? What's the fear? Is it like a cringe sort of thing?
Yeah, a little bit of cringe, just because like I said, I was wrote it. It came out when I was 17, so I wrote it when I was 16. So I was like, just imagine the poems that you wrote back then, like
Yeah.
all the terrible stuff and the emo stuff. It was like, oh man, and that was back when I was like, I was trying to be more intelligent than I was. So I was like looking up stuff in a dictionary and making like, oh, instead of using this word, I'm using this one. Like, try to sound smarter, and it's obvious when you read it. He's like, this person's dumb. I was like, what are you? What are you
No, man.
doing?
You know what? I see looking back at previous stuff and cringing as a gift. Because to me, what that like silver linings right here, buddy. For me, looking back and cringing at that stuff means that I've grown. I've gotten better. I've gotten stronger. And so if I can look back at stuff and the thing that scares me is I'll look back at something and say, that's the best thing I've ever done. Because I always want to think my better stuff is ahead of me. You know, I want to keep doing better. I want to keep growing.
I like to think that too, but I don't know. I have to get through it. I don't think. It's going to be a lot of digging to try to find that gold. Like,
Oh my gosh. You know what? I was looking in the closet the other man, it was a little while back. It's probably like a year ago. And I came across some box, opened it up, and there was a love letter I'd written to my wife when I was like
oh,
17.
oh,
And the cringe was so strong, I put it in the trash. And my wife has not let me live that down since. But it's
oh.
like I just could not.
Did she dig it
could,
up?
I could not, because I didn't tell her for like months, so it was gone. But like, just the cringe was murdering me. I had to destroy it. I had to kill it with fire. It was bad.
Oh man, I understand that because you gonna make me talk about it. Oh, you talking about poems? I was like really into like publishing, and you can do it for free, right? So this girl I was into back when I was 17, she's a girl I lost my virginity to. I wrote this 10-page like poem, like series, Vision of a Paramour. You can look at
Oh, I like it. You published it?
published it with like Lulu or something like that. It's out there and it's nice and cringy and terrible. Like that I don't want to read that more than I don't want to read Limbo. At least Limbo had some story or something like that, but Limbo, that was me trying to impress this older woman with with fancy words.
I love it. I love it. I can't believe you had the gall to publish it though, dude. That is so awesome.
That's what happens when you're 17 and horny. You're like, oh, this is impressive. Like,
Lust makes you do crazy things. That's for sure.
Obviously, I'm not with her, so it didn't work.
Everything's a stepping stone. It got you where you needed to be, which is Lufkin, Texas.
Yeah. Oh Lord, that sounds like bad decisions.
They say you got to be willing to be worse to get better. So there you go.
Right. True.
I'm sure you're collecting some pretty good stories there in Lufkin.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
To get out.
Oh my gosh. Oh, dude. All right. So you said you went. I mean, you did a little while in Vegas. Is that your hometown? You a Vegas kid?
Yeah, I was born there, but I was raised in St. Louis.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah.
So when did you move? Like, how old were you?
Well, from Vegas, I was like younger than 5, so I don't even remember it. But so I was raised in St. Louis, did a college in Alabama, and then that's why I started doing comedy. Besides that one thing in St. Louis, and I did the last 3 years during COVID and stuff. Bad time in Vegas, where that's why I was going to pursue my dream. I was like, oh, it's LA, but cheaper, right? Nah, it's not. Try to do the dream there, but it was just bad timing with the whole COVID thing. Lost a little bit of motivation, and now I'm trying to do this family thing with comedy.
Family thing. Mm-hmm. So family thing, as in
you're my girlfriend.
She's in comedy as well. Is
Yes.
that the podcast A Couple of Blurs?
Yes.
That's you and her?
Yes.
All
Yeah,
right.
me and her do that once a week. We're supposed to talk about nerdy stuff, but we just end up it's just an extended version of whom's we just be talking about news and just joking around, stuff like that. Totally away from the original plan. Yeah. But
Which
it's
I
fun.
like.
It's fun doing it.
Yeah.
It's way easier to do that show because you got something to bounce off of. Uh, the problem is editing is you doing it yourself. So that's why taking a break, because I rather focus on that since that's easier to do, and then go from there.
That's cool, man. That's cool. Well, it sounds like you stay busy.
Try. If not, I go crazy.
Yeah. Do you always have to be doing something? You were talking about how you were pacing and stuff earlier. Is that pretty common for you?
A little bit. I have to. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's like undiagnosed ADHD or I don't know, but I think that's just more of a TikTok trend. So I think it's just it could just be me, my terrible time management, and seeing stuff fail before. So I'm like, okay, I don't want to feel like a failure. So at the very least, I'm gonna do is constantly be doing something, even if I never finish it. So whether it be writing a couple of sentences in the book, or recording my podcast, doing me and her podcast, or cleaning the house or something. I can be moving around so that no one can say, "Hey, you ain't doing nothing. What are you doing?" Right? People always say that, "Oh, George, you're very consistent," but that's just more just for so I can stay sane. It has nothing to do with anything.
That's good, man. It's like you know, what are they? There's a YouTuber I watch. He says projects never get done sitting on the couch, right? So
True.
you always gotta be moving. You always gotta be
Exactly.
going.
It goes back to the whole your mom's house show, Christina P. People who don't know, I'm just uh, uh, yeah, I can't complain if I'm not doing anything. It's like I can't just be playing Stardew Valley for like 3 hours and be like, why ain't these jokes funny? It's like because you was playing Stardew. Yeah, that was fun, but I mean, you didn't get nothing done. So that could be a problem as well because sometimes I go weeks and I do have to go take that gaming break to like keep things balanced. So I don't know. It's that's what I'm still trying to figure out. And I think I'm gonna focus this year on is trying to figure out uh, balance, I guess, in life, work, hobbies. It's a lot.
Yeah, that's cool, man. Like I've heard it. There's a comedian, Daniel Sloss, who describes it as a jigsaw puzzle, your life, right? And
Yeah.
you got the four corners, and it's like was it your job, your hobbies, was it like your friends, and something else, and then the middle piece you get to kind of like fill out with whatever you want. But the
Right.
idea is that the puzzle can always change.
Yeah.
You can
Constantly.
always adjust. I like it.
Constantly buying new puzzles and then dumping it in the same bucket. Like I'm never gonna get finished.
Just confusing things. I like it, man. All right, man. Well, I tell you what, I appreciate your time. And right here at the end, if there was some specific way you wanted people to interact with you, I have a pretty good idea of what it's going to be. How would you have them connect? What would you want them to see or to experience, other than visions of a paramour, and then we got limbo of our fathers?
Yeah.
Definitely got to get on that.
Avoid those two books. It's the worst type of me. Right now, I think the most you want to stay in contact with me is just Twitter. That's what I'm most active on, and that's regular as George with one S. And then my website, right now it's blurds.co, BLERDZ.co. That's all my podcasts all in one. And kind of it's like a blog space on the Substack. Subscribe for free. It's all good. Yeah. That's only two. That's the only two I can keep up with anyway.
All right, man. And hopefully on Twitter we'll see you dropping some stuff about your book or about some new stand-up, something like that. You're actually pretty close, so maybe I could come and see you once you get to H-Town, because there's a decent little comedy scene up there, man.
Oh yeah, if that's the move, if I end up going to Houston instead of Austin, either or, we haven't figured it out yet. I'll definitely let you know.
Yeah, Austin, way more fun. I'm sure you've been to Austin, right?
on hospital visits. Yeah.
Oh, well,
So
that doesn't really count. That doesn't really count.
All I seen was traffic. I'm like,
Yeah,
what
yeah.
is all the hubbub?
Austin's more expensive, but it's more fun. So.
Okay.
And the comedy scene's better in Austin. So.
Okay. I keep that in mind.
All right, man. All right. Well, let me hit stop on all this stuff.
All right.